This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And good afternoon, I'm Kim Murphy at the Wisconsin Live Desk for this Thursday. It is the first day of Summerfest and also Juneteenth. We've got so much to share this afternoon, but first let's get an update on what's happening around the country. The White House press briefing is happening right now, so let's listen in.
In economic news, President Trump's pro-growth agenda is delivering for the American worker. Through the first 5 months of the Trump administration, real blue-collar wages are up nearly 2%. It's the strongest growth in nearly 60 years and a stark contrast from the negative wage growth seen during the first 5 months of the Biden administration. America is quickly returning to the successful formula of the first Trump administration: low inflation and rising wages. Once the big, beautiful bill is passed, this positive trend will only accelerate. Senate Republicans are continuing to push this critical legislation forward. The One Big Beautiful Bill will drive growth and supercharge the American economy. The Council of Economic Advisors found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will raise take-home pay by nearly $14,000 for a year for the average family of 4. The CEA also found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will increase wages as much as $11,000 for the average worker in America. The One Big Beautiful Bill expands the child tax credit and makes it permanent for more than 40 million families with children. And the bill will deliver no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and substantial tax cuts for our incredible seniors. Simply put, the One Big Beautiful Bill is a massive win for middle-class Americans. When nearly 80 million Americans sent President Trump back to this White House, they were doing so expecting these popular policies to be enacted. Republicans in Congress have a mandate to deliver, and President Trump demands they send this historic bill to his desk for signature by Independence Day, July 4th. The American people are fully behind President Trump. According to brand new polling from Insider Advantage, a clear 54% majority of Americans approve of the job President Trump is doing. That's because this president is keeping his promises and taking action every day to improve their lives. And passing this bill will help fulfill a number of President Trump's core campaign promises. Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So we'll kick it off for questions here in our new media seat. We have Eli Lake from the Free Press. Eli, go ahead.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
The Free Press. The decision to extend the, delay in enforcing the TikTok ban.
Sure.
Can you talk about how the White House understands its constitutional authority in light of the Supreme Court's decision in January that said that the president had to enforce the ban?
Sure. Well, as all of you know, because the president put it out on his Truth Social today, he did sign an executive order to extend the TikTok ban for 90 days. So in the effort to make a deal, and the White House counsel and the Department of Justice have reviewed this executive order, and I can get it for you. I think it's on our website by now. If it's not, my team will now put it up immediately. And you can read the language in that executive order. And the White House counsel's office and the Department of Justice strongly believe in the legal rationale for this executive order. They wouldn't have the president's pen hit it if they didn't. And the political reasoning for this, of course, is because the president made a promise to keep TikTok on. There are 100 million Americans who use this app. It's wildly popular. He also wants to protect Americans' data and privacy concerns on this app, and he believes we can do both things at the same time. So he's making an extension so we can get this deal done.
Can I get a follow-up?
Sure.
A few weeks ago, Tucker Carlson reported on a meeting between the president, Mark Levin, and others at the White House. Is there a leak investigation, and can you say who else was in that meeting?
I'm not aware of a leak investigation at this time. I, for one, do not reveal details about the president's private meetings without his permission to do so. But certainly the president does not like when people leak. He takes that very seriously. This entire administration takes that seriously, and that's why you've seen at agencies some of the cabinet secretaries have been given the authority by the president to let go of staff who are engaged in such leaks, especially those that risk American national security. Sure. Go ahead.
Caroline, thank you. So Rhino warmonger Lindsey Graham, he recently called on the U.S. to go all in.
That's quite the lead to a question.
Right. What's your message to everyday Trump supporters? Not the Tucker Carlsons or other big names, but everyday Trump supporters, grassroots who voted for President Trump to stop the wars, rejected this in the primary, going into another war, but voting against Nikki Haley, and they want to see non-U.S. involvement in this war. What's your message?
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said, "America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists." In 2015, the president said, "The problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States." And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
A follow-up?
Sure. Go ahead, Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Can you confirm whether Steve Witkoff has been in touch with the Iranian foreign minister, and does Witkoff plan to go to Geneva tomorrow for talks?
I am not tracking that on Mr. Witkoff's travel schedule, but I can certainly check in with him to be sure. As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Thanks, Kelly. Just to clarify the president's statement just now, when he says that he'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks, is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
And is he seeing any signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
What makes him think there's still a substantial chance, is my question.
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale the president believes that, but that's his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Caroline.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of we expect like a 2-week deadline and then you give another 2-week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia-Ukraine, might I add, these are 2 very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration's just complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again. With respect to Russia and Ukraine, because of that American strength, and the president's leadership, we have seen these 2 sides engage in direct negotiations. And the last time the president said 2 weeks, you saw Russia and Ukraine have direct negotiations for the first time in years. And so the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution to the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add. Francesca.
Thanks, Caroline. What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not. Iran is not absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms, and that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
To follow up on what you told Natalie, are the talks that the United States is currently having with Iran direct, or are those through intermediaries? And if so, which countries are acting as the intermediary right now?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions and negotiations, I am not going to get into the details of them. We've provided you confirmation for now. Go ahead. Sure, and then behind you too.
Oh,
Go
okay,
ahead.
so thanks. Sorry, on the topic of negotiations and talks, does the President have any hopes or specific expectations for the talks tomorrow between European foreign secretaries and their Iranian counterpart?
Well, certainly the entire world is on the president's side when it comes to the fact that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. This is something that pretty much all of humanity, except for the Iranian terrorist regime themselves, agree upon. And so the president expects that Europe will deliver that message directly to the Iranians.
Why does President Trump believe that this 90-day extension on TikTok will provide more runway perhaps than the previous extensions that haven't led to a divestment deal?
Because it's more time to make a good deal. Simple question. Dasha?
Thank you so much. I know things are going day by day. Right now, the president wants maximum optionality. Is the possibility of the U.S. getting involved in regime change in Iran at all on the table at this point? And then I have one on
Sure. The president's top priority right now is ensuring that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon and providing peace and stability in the Middle East.
On Medicaid, Caroline,
Sure.
the Senate put forward Medicaid provisions, particularly a lower cap on state provider taxes that hospitals have said would lead to mass closures, particularly in rural communities. Is the president willing to sign a bill that includes those provisions that Republican senators like Josh Hawley say will lead to hospital closures?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions that the White House is very much actively involved in with our friends in the United States Senate, I won't comment on that specific provision. Look, the bill hasn't been sent to the president's desk yet. There's more room for change. The president, for one, I will reiterate, has been very clear on his priorities with respect to Medicaid. He wants to see waste, fraud, and abuse ridden from the system to protect it for tax-paying citizens who deserve those much-needed benefits. He wants to prioritize the sick, the needy, the poor in this country who deserve those benefits, not the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are receiving them. And he wants to make sure this one big beautiful bill kicks those illegal aliens off of this program to preserve it and protect it and strengthen it for the American people. And the president has been very clear in that message to his friends in the Senate. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
Logistically, if the Iranians are getting to Geneva, does that mean they've found a way to get to the White House?
I am not going to get into hypotheticals, but as you heard from the president yesterday, they have expressed interest in doing so.
There's a lot
Philip.
of pressure on the president to come to the aid of Israel. There's a lot of pressure on him to finish the job with force. How is he balancing the concern that if he doesn't choose to do that, that it would send a message to Xi Jinping about the U.S. commitment to Taiwan?
Well, the president enjoys a very respectful and cordial relationship with China's president. He has long maintained that, even in his first term. And China and the United States share many strategic interests, both in terms of economics and also, of course, global affairs and foreign policy as well. However, when it comes to balancing these different viewpoints, the president is balancing a lot of viewpoints, and he is listening not just to other world leaders, but to his advisors and to people here in the country and the American people too. And I think that's what makes this president such a great leader, is his ability to listen and make a good decision on behalf of the American public based on his instincts and his experience. Don't forget, this is a president who was here before, and the world was a much more peaceful and stable place when he left office than when he came back in after the past 4 years of complete incompetence by the previous president. Philip, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Two quick questions. When the president says Iran is very close to a nuclear weapon, is he relying on U.S. intelligence or intelligence sharing from an ally to make that assessment?
It is a fact, and the United States government maintains this fact, that Iran has never been closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon.
And then if the U.S. were to take some type of military action, would the president go to Congress to seek war authority?
I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals. I gave you the statement from the president. He'll make a decision within 2 weeks.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
Mary and then Elizabeth.
Two questions, one on Iran and then the second on something Jasmine Crockett said this morning. So given that we know the Iranian government did order an operative to assassinate the president, is there concern that Iran might respond with non-traditional military ways to some kind of strike on Iran, such as another assassination attempt? And has the Department of Justice looked into this last attempt on the president's life?
I believe Secret Service and the FBI have looked into the 2 assassination attempts that took place against the president, both of which were sad days in our nation's history. So I would defer you to the Department of Justice on where those investigations stand. But as for your question regarding Iranian retaliation, I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals again, but I can assure the American public and the world that this administration is prepared and ready to defend American interests and assets, not just in the region, but here on our homeland as well.
Thank you. And then really quick on Jasmine Crockett, she said, I believe, that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself. Jennifer.
One on North Korea and one on China. Sure. On North Korea, they launched some rockets into the ocean today. What does the White House make of that? Do you read any meaning into that timing of that launch? And then on China, do you have any reaction to Xi Jinping's offer of intervening in Iran diplomatically? And are you seeing any signs that China would get involved militarily to support Iran?
I don't believe we're seeing any signs of that at this moment in time. As for Xi Jinping's offer, I will leave it to the president to respond to that himself. As for your question about North Korea, we are monitoring the situation. The Trump administration is in close contact with our new South Korean counterparts as we work together to deter our adversaries and preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific. And no matter where, our adversaries and our allies alike know that President Trump will not tolerate threats against our interests on his watch, even as he works to resolve the wars that he inherited. Alex, go ahead, and then I'll come to you.
Thank you. Is the president concerned about the economy if farms and hotels, et cetera, struggle to find workers?
The president's always concerned about the economy. That's on his mind every day. He wakes up, he checks the markets, he checks wage growth. As I pointed out, it's a record high today for middle class and American workers. So the president's always wanting to ensure that we have a strong and robust economy for the American people and worker, and we do. As for the specific concerns regarding jobs, look, the president has made it very clear we need to remove public safety threats from the interior of our country, and that remains the focus and the priority of this administration when it comes to deportations, no matter where somebody works. If they're an illegal alien rapist or murderer that was allowed into this country in the past 4 years by this administration, the American people want those types of criminals to be deported from our country, and that's what the president is backing ICE to do.
Thanks. There was an apparent skirmish between the Chinese and the Philippines in the South China Sea. Just curious if you had any reaction to that, and if the steps you're taking towards the Middle East right now are reducing your capacity to deal with that situation.
I believe that happened as I was preparing and coming out here, so we'll get you a response to that. Certainly we have one, and our teams are always monitoring situations all around the globe.
Okay, and then one more just on Iran. Just over the past 24 hours, we've seen some Israeli strikes on Natanz, Isfahan, and Kondab nuclear facilities. Is there any assessment just of how effective or what the result of those strikes will be?
What I can share is that the IDF and Israel, I think, have exceeded a lot of people's expectations in their ability to really hinder Iran's nuclear facilities, but also they've taken out key people in the Iranian regime's leadership as well. So this is something, of course, we are monitoring and watching every day, and the president was just in an intelligence briefing. He continues to be briefed by his National Security Council, and he will throughout the duration of this war and conflict. And he also remains in constant communication with our Israeli counterparts, most notably Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Kristen.
Thank you, Caroline. We have heard from a number of U.S. officials who say that Iran doesn't want to make a deal, that they are just stringing the United States along. What is to say that they are not going to continue to do so if we if we continue to give them extensions now 2 weeks before 60 days?
Look, Iran is in a very weak and vulnerable position because of the strikes and the attacks from Israel. And with respect to the president's statement, I shared that with all of you. And he has been very direct and clear. Iran can and should make a deal. We sent a deal to them that was practical, that was realistic, or they will face grave consequences.
Why is Steve Witkoff not participating in the talks this week?
I can ask Mr. Witkoff why he is not.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the president object if Israel attempts its own operation against Fordo in the next 2 weeks?
I won't decide that for the president, nor will I share that here. I'll let him speak to that.
Just another one. Iran is apparently warning Europeans that if it's struck by the U.S., it may withdraw from the nuclear proliferation treaty. That would result in throwing out inspectors and taking the program dark. What does the president think of the value of having Iran as a full signatory of that treaty?
Well, that's reckless rhetoric, but I understand the Europeans are meeting with the Iranians tomorrow, so we'll see how that meeting goes.
Just one more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today or make any comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. Will he plan to mark Juneteenth in any way, either today or with an event later on, maybe next week?
Sure. I just answered that question for you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Caroline. The fact that this president is giving some time and space for diplomacy, another 2 weeks, does it mean that the president is trying his best to avoid a direct conflict with Iran?
I think the president has made it clear he always wants to pursue diplomacy, but believe me, the president is unafraid to use strength if necessary. And Iran and the entire world should know that the United States military is the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world, and we have capabilities that no other country on this planet possesses. Owen.
Caroline, good afternoon. The Supreme Court, as you know, has upheld Tennessee's ban on transgender medical procedures for minors, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, etc. The White House reaction to that, please.
It's a huge victory for America's children, and it's obviously something this administration believes strongly in, that young minor children should not be allowed to be subjected to chemical castration and mutilation. The president himself has taken very strong orders, or has signed very strong executive orders on this, and we are grateful for Tennessee's efforts to protect our children, and we are grateful the Supreme Court ruled on the side of the law, but also on the side of protecting America's innocent children. Elizabeth, go ahead. Sorry, I skipped you earlier.
Okay, thank you so much. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced new vetting procedures on student visas. Will this serve as a model for vetting other foreign visas?
For all foreign visas, yes. As you know, the president signed an executive order, I think it was one of the first he signed in the first week, to strengthen our vetting requirements and our vetting system here in the United States for all visas. He directed the Secretary of State to do that. There was a pause in some of that vetting, as you all know, recently, especially with respect to students from some certain countries. But the vetting has continued, and it's stronger than ever before. As for specifics on how the vetting process has changed, I would defer you to the Department of State. As you know, they're in charge of things like that.
Thank you. To what extent is this 2-week delay with Iran the result of interventions by the likes of Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or the entreaties of European leaders who want a de-escalation?
Look, the president hears all voices across the country, and he makes decisions based on his instincts. And he has always said diplomacy is his first option.
And is he still planning to attend the NATO summit next week?
He is, yes. We will be departing from Washington on Monday morning, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. Akela.
Thanks, Caroline. Oil prices have been spiking over the last week. Is the president watching the oil market, and is that factoring into his decision-making in the Middle East?
Again, as I said to, I think, Alex's question previously, the president is always watching, and this administration is doing more than any in history to bring oil prices and gas prices here at home down for the American public. They have been plummeting since President Trump's inauguration because of the executive action and the federal action this administration has taken on the home front. But yes, of course, he's paying attention and monitoring that. But as for whether it's weighing into his decision, there's a number of factors that, of course, are. And as I said, he will make that decision in the next 2 weeks. Can't reiterate that enough. Ouija.
Caroline, thank you. With regard to a potential deal, Iran has said it will not negotiate under duress. Does the president believe there should be a ceasefire in these next 2 weeks as the U.S. tries to broker a deal?
That's not what he said in the statement he dictated to me, so I won't get ahead of the president or add anything additional to the statement that he gave me the liberty to share with all of you.
And then just to follow up on how close Iran is to a nuclear weapon, can you clarify, when the president said a few weeks away, did he mean obtaining enough enriched uranium to start building a weapon, or did he mean Iran is a few weeks away from completing the production of a weapon?
I'm glad you asked that, Ouija. It's an important question, and it's one, frankly, the media has been getting wrong. Let's be very clear. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the supreme leader to do that. And it would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, which would, of course, pose an existential threat, not just to Israel, but to the United States and to the entire world. And that is something that the entire world, including countries like Russia, is in agreement with, that Iran should not and cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. And that's why the president believes that, and he's believed that, again, not just his political career, but frankly, his entire life.
So it
Michael.
sounds like it's the former, just to be clear.
Correct.
That they have the components. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Michael.
Caroline, as we look forward to the NATO summit next week, Spain right now is threatening not to oblige the president's request for all NATO countries to spend at least 5% of their GDP. Does the president take issue with this, with Spain right now?
I didn't see Spain's comments. I'll make sure the president sees them, and I can assure you he wants to see all European countries pay their fair share and meet that 5% threshold. It's only fair considering the American taxpayers have given a significant chunk of money to the tune of billions of dollars to support our mutual interests and our assured defense. So I will let him speak to that, but he's made his priorities for our European allies quite clear, including Spain.
Caroline, one last question. When it comes to the president's position on foreign policy in general, is there a phrase that the White House has coined? Is there a Trump doctrine? Does the president like to talk about this? Anyone here in the White House talking about this? And if so, if there is something akin to a Trump doctrine, how would you define it?
America first, always. And with that, I think I'll leave you. I know there's a lot of news in the world right now. As you know, our team is always here to answer your questions, and the president, I am sure, will take more questions from you guys at some point this week, as he always does in the effort of transparency. I appreciate your being here on a federal holiday, and we'll see you later. Thank you.
And you've just been listening to the White House briefing. Caroline Leavitt fielding a variety of questions, of course. The U.S. stance on what is happening between Iraq and Israel, saying that the president is not at this time ready to definitively say if the U.S. is increasing its involvement or if the United States has involvement in what's been going on for the past 6 days. We're going to take a break to reset. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk for this Thursday. We wait all year for today. It is the first weekend of Summerfest, and it also coincides with Juneteenth celebrations that are happening in Milwaukee. The Juneteenth parade kicked off this morning at 9 a.m. Hopefully you got a chance to check it out yourself. My FOX6 colleagues were there walking in the parade. It's always just such a great joy for us to be able to get out and be a part of the community, and this is just one of the premier events of the summer. And it is a hot one. You know, just like that, summer kicks in. So let's give you a little look at some of the temperatures that we're dealing with right now. If we can, around the area, we're talking about 83 degrees here, and it feels a lot warmer than that. And this is just the warm-up, I should say, because the weekend it's going to be a scorcher. Tom and our weather experts have given you the warning that it's going to feel a lot more like near 100 degrees when you factor in the humidity. So if you are headed out to any of the festivals, if you're headed down to the lakefront, yes, it is cooler usually near the lake, but don't overcompensate for that. It is still going to be sticky. It's going to be hot. So the advice is dress light colors, light fabrics, and make sure that you stay hydrated. And by that, we don't mean just Milwaukee's favorite beverage. You also need to make sure that you're taking in some water when you're down there. And watch out for the kiddos too, because sometimes we forget about them. They sunburn very easily. Their skin is very delicate, so make sure that they have on hats to protect their skin. Make sure that you can find shaded places for them to cool off, because they can't say when they're really, really young that they're too warm, but you can tell often when you see that their cheeks are flushed and they just, that's just not a good thing. That means that they are overheating. So you also want to make sure that the little ones are staying hydrated as we look at some of those temperatures around the area. And also in line with that, the Wisconsin DOT is putting out a little bit of a heads up for folks. If you are planning on going out or you're traveling, I'm sure that you are, because of this extreme heat, there is a possibility that we could see some road buckling. So you want to be careful when you are traveling. There is a risk of the pavement buckling. And so the advice from the DOT is, first of all, slow down so that you are aware of changing road conditions. And just keep an eye out, because it can happen. And we went from a cool spring to overnight there being this extreme heat. And so you have to turn on your senses, your awareness of road possible hazards. You have to switch just as quickly as the weather has. So the DOT is saying that there is a risk of pavement buckling with the rising temperatures over the weekend. The best bet to stay safe is just to slow down. We are going to take a break.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Kim Murphy on this Juneteenth holiday. It is a federal holiday, so if you're looking for your mail, if you're headed to the bank, if it's your garbage collection or recycling day, none of that is happening because it is a federal holiday, first recognized in 2020. President Joe Biden signed that into a federal holiday after decades of lobbying from lots of communities to get this recognized as a federal holiday. Yet, there are a lot of people who still are not familiar with Juneteenth and why it's called that. Juneteenth is an abbreviation for June 19th, and what it commemorates is the date that Union soldiers reached western Texas, Galveston, and posted a proclamation that all slaves were now free men. Now, President Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation years before that, 2.5 years ahead of that. But there were Confederate strongholds that refused to acknowledge, accept the emancipation. And so the word traveled very slowly to those territories, and it actually took the Union soldiers marching into Galveston to enforce that all men were free. And so kind of incorrectly, you'll hear that Juneteenth marks the end of slavery. That's not exactly right. What it does, though, commemorate is when the last stronghold of slavery, and that was in western Texas, in Galveston, where slaves they had heard from plantation to plantation the talk that they had been freed, but of course their slave holders were not acknowledging that. They were not reacting to that, and they still kept them in slavery. And so it took the Union soldiers marching into Galveston, posting literally a proclamation in the center of town that all slaves were now free. And so that is why it's called Freedom Day. And so as you are talking with people, sharing that history with your families and with your communities, that's what Juneteenth is really all about. So it started off this morning in Milwaukee with the annual Juneteenth parade. Milwaukee has one of the longest and biggest Juneteenth celebrations. 56 years, I believe it's been celebrated here. More than 50 years, I can definitely confirm that. And it started off very small, just a block, and it was a way to celebrate African American culture and to recognize the history that largely was untaught in public schools, in school books. And it started with a Milwaukee woman who had family in the South, and upon visiting them, learning about this very important date, this historical date, and then brought that information to Milwaukee and said, you know what, we need to share this. We need our community, not just the African American community, but we need to spread information about this because it's not just a part of African American history. It is also part of U.S. history to kind of understand, you know, if you understand your past, you kind of understand a little bit of your future. And last year I had the honor of speaking with one of the officials, the leaders of the Galveston Black Historical Society. There's a Juneteenth museum in Galveston, the birthplace of Juneteenth, and she explained that, you know, the deep history of not just that date of June 19th when the slaves there were finally freed, but what happened after that. There was a lot of confusion, there was a lot of resentment, the racial hate, the violence didn't just end on June 19th when that proclamation was issued, and a lot of rules, sunset laws, immediately were enacted in places in the South, and maybe you've heard that. What is a sunset law? Well, sunset laws meant that Black people could not be out, could not be on any public street when the sun set. Black people were limited, the newly freed slaves, the freemen, were limited in how many could be in one place. They could not gather. There were rules that say that there could not be gatherings of free men. There were restrictions on what jobs they could hold. There were restrictions on what land they could own. And so from that system developed the sharecropper system, which was another form of really slavery, where those same men and women and children who were slaves then became sharecroppers, where they would still work the same fields that they had as slaves, and they would get a very, very, very minimal salary compensation for what they did. And so that was a systemic beginning of slavery after those slaves were freed by the Emancipation Proclamation and Juneteenth, again, when the last slaves in Western Texas, so Union soldiers had to travel all the way to Western Texas to announce these slaves were free, had been free for more than 2 years, if you can imagine that. So there's a deep history in that. And so there's also, that's what Juneteenth is about. Going into our history and finding out on your own, you know. So many articles have now been written to find out more of what you don't know, what we don't know. We have a rich, rich history in the United States, and this is a way of a day that brings awareness to that history and celebrates the best in all of us and brings community together. So hopefully you have a moment or so that you have a chance to enjoy a little bit of Juneteenth aside from it being a day off for federal workers. So Summerfest also kicking off, and our coworkers are down there. Stomp Out Hunger. If you bring in 3 items, non-perishable items, shelf-stable items. That means things that are not going to go bad. They're not going to spoil. Bring those down between noon and 3 o'clock. You get into Summerfest for free. You bring in 6, you get 2 tickets. Bring in 9 items, you get 3 tickets. You get the idea. So we're going to check in with Bill Miston coming up in a little bit. But if you are headed down to Summerfest, just a reminder of some of the policies. I know it is a scorcher out there, right? And you're tempted to bring in, you know, your water bottles and so on and so forth. The bag policy still is in effect. So no backpacks, no large purses, no messenger camera bags, no coolers. What you can bring in, you can bring in a tote or a purse. It's got to be a 9 by 10 by 12. You can bring in a little backpack like a cinch pack. Also, the maximum size there, 9 by 10 by 12, and small clutches, small purses. That's the best way to get you in Summerfest quickly and not have to dump the things that you brought in, because that's always a bummer when you just spent like $3.50 to get into Summerfest, and then you have to dump it because you can't get in. Also, remember, Summerfest, no cash accepted. Okay, so everything is cashless. So you either Google Pay, Apple Pay, your debit card, your credit card. No cash accepted. So remember that. There are ticket windows on the grounds, and there are the box office. You can stop by to get more information on, you know, the forms, or, you know, how you can, you know, I don't know. Just don't bring cash. Bring someone with the credit card is what I would say. Even better for you, right? You can say, dude, I didn't know it was no cash. Can you spot me? Been there, done that, right? Okay, so also cash to card services though, because don't fall for that. You can say, hey bro, if you go to the North Gate, Midgate, the Summerfest box office, or inside AmFam, the amphitheater gates, you can get cash to cards. So, you know, those little, you give them $20 and they give you a card that you can use, like a credit card, debit card. So if your bros try to say, hey, I didn't bring any, you know, I don't have my debit card, can you spot me? It's like, oh, no problem, just go to the North Gate, you're good, right? Okay, so problem solved. We're keeping friendships tight, right? Okay, if you are headed down there, best, it's always, you know, if you're a newbie, you may drive down there. Probably not the best idea. Parking can get, first of all, congested, and it's pretty pricey down there. So parking right lots are open for Summerfest from 10:30 this morning on Thursdays to 1 p.m. on Sundays. The weekends of Summerfest are June 19th through the 22nd, so that is this weekend. Next weekend, June 26th through the 29th, and July 3rd through the 6th. So these are the park and ride hours that it's just great. You just, park your car, carpool even to the park and ride, hop on the bus and let MCTS do all the driving for you through the construction, which is just bananas. Started, this week early. If you're headed northbound, it's just not been good at all. So, why deal with any of that madness when you can just, pretty much, let the bus take you. That's what it's there for. So that's one of the things that I can tell you about Summerfest. Also, you may be wondering who is performing tonight. We, Fox 6, proud sponsors of the U.S. Cellular Connection stage. So tonight, 4:15, you can get down there. That's the first act. Niall is down there. 6:30, Mike Jones is performing. 8:15 tonight for the grown folks. Genuine, okay, is performing. He's still doing it. And then at 10, Fabulous, the FABOLOUS, is performing. So head on down to the U.S. Cellular Connection stage. That is sponsored by Fox 6. On Saturday, actually, you will find us. I'm going to be down there. Ben Handelman is going to be down there. We are going to just be hanging out between 2 and 4, I believe our hours are there at the U.S. Cellular Connection stage. How about just abbreviate U.S. Cell stage? To come on down, check us out, say hi to us. We love to see our viewers. But this is who is on stage this evening. So not a bad lineup. Fabulous and Genuine. I'm here for it. What about you? Say here for it. We're going to take a break on the
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk as we approach 1:15 on the first day of Summerfest. It is such a great day. Last week, so worried that we wouldn't warm up. Boy, have we warmed up. Let's go now to Bill Miston, who is live on the Summerfest grounds. Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Hey there, Kim. Yeah, actually, we just stepped outside of the Summerfest grounds. We're here off of Harbor Drive, where Feeding America of Eastern Wisconsin is having a food drive where today, if you drop off 3 shelf-stable perishable goods, you can get entry into Summerfest today. I'm joined here with Aaron Rice. He's the Chief Development Officer for Feeding America. Good afternoon, Aaron. It's a big day. I'm sure you're super excited for the first day of Summerfest.
It is. It's an incredible day. The community is really showing out so far. Still about hour and 45 minutes left in the day. So we're hoping everybody's going to continue to come on out.
And so this goes until about 3 o'clock, right? It does. Okay. So if you're at home, maybe you're wondering if you do want to get down to Summerfest today, this is a good way to get in and maybe save some cash and help some people out, right?
Absolutely. So you can donate 3 shelf-stable or non-perishable food items and get a ticket to go on into Summerfest. Also, if you don't have the food to donate, you can donate a minimum of $10, and that'll also get you into Summerfest today as well.
And talk about Feeding America of Eastern Wisconsin's mission and how this food is going to help families and people in need.
Yeah, these things are incredibly important to us. You know, we serve 65% of the state, so 35 counties is part of our footprint. You know, currently in Milwaukee, 1 in 4 kids are experiencing food insecurity. 1 in 6 kids across Eastern Wisconsin are facing food insecurity. So the need actually rises in the summertime. Kids rely on the schools to feed them during the school year. With schools out, they're looking for where that next meal is going to come from, and that's where we come in.
All right. And again, they're out here at Harbor Drive, and this is Chicago, I believe. Chicago? Do I have it all right? Out here at Harbor Drive in Chicago, just outside of Midgate here today, outside of Summerfest. First day of Summerfest. If you bring 3 shelf-stable items down here to the Feeding America trucks here, you'll get some tickets to get in. I'm going to step out of the shot here a little bit. And how's turnout been so far with the amount of people coming in and dropping stuff off as we see more people coming up right now?
Turnout's been great. I mean, they're coming from all directions, bringing plenty of food. So we're hoping to load up these trucks by the end of the day. You can do it at the North Gate, main gate, or at the South Gate. So any of those 3 gates, there's a truck and excited volunteers to be able to accept that food and give you your ticket.
All right, and so that's just one of the things that's going on out here. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us today. One of the things that's going on out here at Summerfest, we'll be back with you later this afternoon in probably about 45 minutes or so inside Summerfest grounds, show you some of the stuff that's going on. Kim, is there anything that you want us to bring back for you at the station today? It may be a while before it gets back there, though.
You know, I've never had a Pete's Pop. Have you?
Yes, that might melt, though.
Oh.
It probably will melt.
Well, you did ask if I wanted anything.
I did.
Okay. How far are you from our FOX6 colleagues?
Well, hey, on. No. So this is Kim. Yeah, get over here. So Kim, I'm very close to at least one of our FOX6 colleagues.
Murphy, how you doing today? I don't have any earpiece in today.
Yeah, he has no earpiece in. Is there something you want to ask of Aaron?
Just how his day is going, how the collection is going.
How's your day been going? How's the collection been going? Yeah,
oh my God. Okay. Bill, take a break right now. You know, Kim, my day's been going good. I started my day doing filling in for Brian Cram. So we were bopping around all the different stations at Summerfest. There's so much happening here. And look at this live picture right here. We have video of Bobby Portis, everybody, right here arriving at Summerfest. Can we swing the camera over? Okay, maybe. Okay, Bobby Portis is now arriving here.
Aaron can't hear me,
and
but
I'll give it back to you, Bill.
I need to see Bobby Portis.
This perfectly,
Yeah.
Aaron. So that way you could
Bill,
do the
I need to
introductions
see
for Bobby Portis showing up.
Bobby. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm a Bucks fan. I'm fanning out. He's awesome. He's down there to help stomp out hunger, to help, lend his, his presence, his celebrity, to get folks to come down and donate. So you could possibly get a free ticket for Summerfest if you come on down, and Bobby Portis could be the person who takes your food collections. I'm so jealous. Oh, look at him.
So Bobby's hanging out here now. He's walking over to where some of the rest of the FOX6 crew is, saying hello to Tom Walks and Lisa Michaels.
Tom
Mary
Walks
Stoker
is
Smith,
always
she's
in the
about
right
half his,
place.
Mary's about half his size, just for reference.
Wait,
So-
okay. You know what? If you were to ask me which 2 FOX6ers will find Bobby Portis first, Mary and Tom. Like that.
Well, I would dispute that because Aaron and I found Bobby Portis first before he walked over there.
That's pretty awesome. Okay,
So let's be clear on the timeline of events here, Kim.
Okay, you were the first. Thank you. It was kind of like breaking news right here on the live desk. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're gonna take the camera off the sticks real quick and kind of get a better shot here for you.
Would you
as Bobby
please?
Portis is joining up with the feet. Yeah, we're moving here, Kim.
Okay.
We're moving.
No, I'm just saying I appreciate it. I know that it's hot. I know you know, these things aren't easy to do, but you're doing it anyway. Okay. We get some oh, look at Lisa and Stephanie and Tom Walks with the Mary. Oh my gosh, the weather experts and Bobby Portis.
Holly. The weather experts and Bobby Portis. Yep. And Mary thrown in there.
That I'm so jealous. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Mary.
You know,
this is just some of. Kim, this is some of the stuff that we're just living vicariously here. You know.
We are. You know, Lisa and I are very tall, so we're 5'9". Lisa's a little bit taller. She is still short, standing next to Bobby Portis. Are you going to go and get a selfie with Bobby?
Oh, I don't think I'm going to get a selfie. I'm going to try and get an interview after he's done taking pictures, but I don't know if he's going to have time.
Okay. Should I let you go and let you squeeze on over there and then check back with you after a break?
Yeah. Well, let's see if we could get Bobby here real quick.
Okay, go for it. That's the good thing about, or the neat thing about the Wisconsin Live Desk. What is it like to be a reporter? This is what it's like. This is live. This is how we get our stories. You just kind of go up, hey, I'm with Fox 6, wondering if you have a minute to talk. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Fingers crossed that it works.
Bill. Nice to meet you. Mind if we chat real quick? What's it mean to be out here to help, families in need?
Always great to give back, especially to the community that's giving back to me so much. It's just fun just to be here in this community. Obviously, it's summertime, so not as cold as it normally is, so we get a chance to come out here and be outside, put our shorts on, and just enjoy some good MKAE weather.
First day of Summerfest, have you looked at the lineup? Is anything that you're eyeing possibly over these next couple weeks?
I think that's the biggest thing right now that I'm just mainly focusing on is just the give back part, right, in town. Obviously for the week and just trying to get back as much as I can to the community. I think Feeding America does a great job of just, putting together these great events, giving back, putting smiles on others' faces. That's what it's all about in life for real, when you are blessed and fortunate to, have all the things that we have the life we have. I think that it's great to empower our community like we have been doing over the last several years with our partnership, and every year it just keeps getting better.
What's it mean to be accepted into the Milwaukee community like it has been over the last several years, and being around the league and finding a home here?
Yeah, man, it's been fun. Especially you go on a journey in the league, you bounce around, sometimes from team to team, and then you suddenly find a home where you finally find a place where you can call home, a place where you can be settled in that, and just live a little bit, right? Just let your hair down, obviously. Take care of what you need to take care of on the basketball court, but off the court, things kind of settle down for you. You kind of get acclimated to the city, acclimated to your environment, and then you kind of put on these great events to, give back to the ones that kind of help, give to you.
Awesome, Bobby. So nice talking with you. Appreciate it.
Likewise.
You have a good day, okay, man?
Yes, sir.
That's Bobby Portis, folks.
That is so awesome. And this is not like a one-off, or one of, you should say, of Bobby Portis. For several years, he's worked with Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin. He's been an ambassador. This is something that is very near and dear to him. And so it's just so awesome to see him in the off season here down in the heat, collecting food and encouraging others to be part of this. And again, for several years, Bobby Portis has been part of the PB&J Challenge, raising awareness about childhood hunger. He has also made significant donations of food and funds to support food pantries in the Milwaukee area. And Bill, he's even taken some time to sign some autographs.
Sorry, Kim, was there a question there? Yeah, I'm just kind of moving around to try and grab some stuff here. But yeah, it looks like he's signing some autographs here at the Feeding America tent and trucks that are here, where if you bring 3 non-perishable food items down, shelf-stable items, to one of the gates here at Summerfest, you can get a free ticket to get in. This goes until 3 o'clock. And as you said, Bobby, and you heard just moments ago, Bobby has been a big part of Feeding America's mission, Feeding America of Eastern Wisconsin, his mission here for quite some time, and it's something close to his heart.
Yeah, you say that again. Motivated by his personal experiences, he grew up in a single-parent family, facing food security, knows what that's like, and so this is something that he has stepped in front of and has been an ambassador for Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin for several years, and again, lending his support to this very, very important cause, and hoping folks will come down. Bobby Portis, right now, if you go down to the mid-gates, not only will you see FOX6ers there, the weather team, but you may also get a chance to see Bobby Portis, who is on hand greeting Summerfest visitors and just really just taking time out to show how important this is and how much of the community he really is. I didn't want, my own curiosity was like, oh wow, that's his summer beard coming in nicely. I didn't want you to ask that on my behalf. I didn't want to embarrass you, Bill, but yeah, that's a very different look, I think, for Bobby Portis, his summer look. I like it, I like it. So thanks so much for giving us a little bit of what is going on right now at the Midgate. Again, if you go between now and 3 o'clock, bringing 3 shelf-stable items to the Midgate, you can take pictures with our summer FOX6 colleagues down there. You might even catch a moment with Bobby Portis, but most importantly, bring those 3 food items and you will get in for free. We're going to take a moment and we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're watching.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk for this hot and steamy first day of Summerfest. Let's take a look at some of those temperatures, if I can find where that is on a lovely control panel here. And perhaps I can't. Hold on. This is the magic of the Live Desk. There you go. You're taking a live look at some of those temperatures, and we don't have to tell you. This is the temperatures, but it feels so much warmer out there. So if you are headed down to Summerfest, do hydrate. You know, it's so important to do that because, you know, you get out there, you're having a good time, and you kind of, you know, don't monitor yourself, your body temperatures, and that's a really good way to overheat. So make sure if you are headed down to Summerfest that you stay hydrated with liquids. We're not just talking the adult beverage type. Make sure that you have a lot of water in your system because you can easily overheat, especially if you're not dressed in a way that allows you to, for your body to actually, let that heat escape your body. So we don't want anybody overheating at all. So that is the advice if you are headed down to Summerfest. And let's give you an idea of who is playing tonight at some of those stages. We are the proud sponsor of the U.S. Cellular Stage. And tonight, first concert is at 4:15, Nile, 6:30, Mike Jones. For all you old heads who are big fans, he's going to be performing there. And also Genuine tonight. He is there for the grown and sexy crowd. And then later on this evening, it's Fabulous at 10 o'clock. So if you're headed down, absolutely free stage. Look for the U.S. Cell Connection stage. And that's who is performing this evening. And then tomorrow afternoon, stop by between the hours of 2 and 4. And I will be down there along with some of my FOX6ers. Just hanging out and enjoying Summerfest, and also asking you to stop by and, say hi and, hang out with us for a little bit. We are following also some stories that are happening from around the country. There is a gathering that is happening right now in New Jersey. This is a welcome home for Aiden Alexander, I believe, an American hostage is returning home. So let's listen in to what is happening here.
All right, Frank, they're coming to us. Oh, John, it is such a special day here. Everybody in this town has been praying for this moment. We spoke with Aiden Alexander's rabbi earlier, and he has been his rabbi since he was 2 years old. This is a town of 15,000 people, about 600 people at the synagogue. It is a tight-knit community, and you see hundreds, if not thousands of people have gathered here, just like they did last month when Aiden was released, and shortly after, he talked to President Trump. So I'll ask my cameraman Frank to come back down here, because there's a woman that I specifically want to talk to. You just told me that you've been marching every single week for Aiden. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we've been walking right across the street. We start out here every Friday with what we Run for Their Lives, which is to advocate for the hostages. And here in Tenafly, we've been walking for Aiden, and it's pretty amazing to be back here today. And he's going to be coming home, and we're going to see him.
Yeah, his rabbi said that it is surreal. They barely believe that this is actually happening, John. And I asked him what he plans on doing when he finally sees Aiden. Take a listen here.
And you were just listening to a live report there from New Jersey. Aiden Alexander is returning finally home after 600 days in captivity. He is returning home to New Jersey. Again, he was taken hostage by Hamas. He's a 21-year-old, flew back to the U.S. He'll arrive.
So they've waited over 600 days, John, and now they only have to wait 30 more minutes. That is the word. 30 minutes until Aiden Alexander will come right down this road and go to his home. Finally, this community is rejoicing, John. We'll send it back to you.
Hearing just a little bit of that live report, Aiden Alexander returning home after 600 days. He was taken hostage by Hamas, and he is believed to be the last living U.S. citizen held in Gaza. He was raised in the Garden State, graduated from high school, and before moving to Israel, where he served in the Israeli military. So Aiden Alexander will be arriving home, finally, after 600 days of being held in captivity, taken hostage by Hamas. He's 21 years old, and this is a little bit of the homecoming. Let's listen.
Seems like it. Enjoy the day, guys.
I want to check the battery on this.
It depends on.
You're listening live as many are gathered to welcome home the last American, believed to be the last American hostage held by Hamas. 600 days. 21-year-old Idan Alexander is finally freed. He is an Israeli American, born in New Jersey, but then moved to Israel and actually served in the Israeli military. When we count 600 days, we're counting from the morning of October 7th, 2023, when Hamas attacked in the early morning hours at a music festival. 364 people were killed. There were more than 40 abductions. And it has just been a nightmare for so many people waiting, hoping that their loved ones who were taken hostage would somehow make it out, somehow that they would be okay. And 600 days later, we are about to witness the homecoming of one of those hostages, Idan Alexander. So please stay with us as we wait for that homecoming. He's expected in the next 20 minutes or so. And when that happens, we will bring it to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's the first day of Summerfest, and so we want to know, what are your plans? How many days are you going to Summerfest? We've got a little FOX6 Insta poll going right now. Okay, this is your chance. Go to fox6now.com/poll to weigh in, or use your phone to scan, or some other device. If you're watching us on your phone, you can't really scan it, so go to fox6now.com. The poll is, how many days are you going to Summerfest? 0 days, 33% say that. 2 to 3 days, that would be a weekend, 33% say that. And 1 day, 33% say that. So maybe you are headed there for a concert. Maybe you're there to hang out. Maybe you're there to just check in with friends, because you always see someone that you haven't seen in forever and a day. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a bad thing. But the crowds are so large, if it's someone that you don't want to see, then you can just kind of move over to the side and pretend like you never saw them. Not that I said that, or not that I would do that. Let's go now to something that is happening in California. The Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, is speaking. He's giving a news conference after touring air traffic control tower in San Diego. Air traffic control and safety has been a big issue as of late. So let's listen in.
Which, by the way, the FAA is one of the last organizations in the world that still uses copper. We're going to get new radios, and we're going to get new voice switches as part of that money. We're using 1970s radar. In that money, we get new radar as well. And we're going to have money to upgrade some of the towers, not all of them, and have a new en route facility that's going to be funded. So the big, beautiful bill is the one pathway we have right now that's going to start the funding, start the process, start the building, start the fixing of this old, antiquated system. Now, that's not going to be enough. We are going to need a lot more money, but this is the one vehicle we have to start the build right now. And so I hope the Congress does its work. Frankly, I hope the Congress finds more money. There's a lot of money being spent in a lot of places. They have the ability to find extra resources and to put it into this mission. This is the most important infrastructure bill that we have in this country. This is the most important infrastructure project we've done in decades, and it needs to be fully funded. And so I'm here making sure we can highlight actually the equipment that's being used. And I think so many Americans, as they fly, which, by the way, it's safe because they have multiple redundancies. The pilots and the airplanes have multiple redundancies, so it's safe. But we should not be using this equipment. And we're at a place and a time where you've never had the American people, all of industry. We have 65 organizations that usually don't agree on a lot of things, 65 organizations that have all agreed that this has to be done. We have the Congress, we have the DOT Secretary, we have the FAA. You have never seen more alignment to actually fix a system that hasn't been paid attention to. It hasn't been the focus.
You're listening to the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, talk about the state of the infrastructure, air travel, the controllers, the control towers, and the need for updates. We are also following a homecoming that is happening. A freed Israeli-American hostage, Idan Alexander, is finally returning home to New Jersey after 600 days. He was taken hostage by Hamas October 7th. It's just been a long time coming. He is believed to be the final American hostage to be freed, and he is returning home, and you can see that folks are gathered there. So we are continuing to keep an eye on that, as we also are listening into the Transportation Secretary talk about the needs for improvements in air traffic safety.
By the way, the president, the side note of the president loves airplanes. He loves air traffic. The president could not be more supportive of what's happening with the resources to fix air traffic control in the country. And so we're here to highlight what you use in San Diego and make the commitment that we're going to get the resources to actually fix not just the tower, but the hardware and software that these controllers use to keep all of you safe who fly out of this airport. And so with that, I want to turn it over to Frank McIntosh for comments on what he saw, and he's our direct voice from the FAA. I'm going to step over here.
Thank you for being here today, and it's an absolute pleasure getting to spend time with the controllers and the technicians who opened up to Secretary Duffy on the things they need to be successful as professionals in providing safety to the American public. I'm here today because I want to fully express my gratitude and my support for Secretary Duffy's bold and necessary action to bring the FAA air traffic control system to this century and to new technologies that are going to make us better at being the gold standard in providing safety and efficiency to the people of this nation. As a former air traffic controller and as a former air traffic manager of a building very similar to this, I know firsthand how critical it is for our nation's controllers to have reliable and resilient equipment at their disposal. They want to do the very best possible job for everyone flying, and giving them the latest and updated technology to do that job is paramount for our future. Every day, they're entrusted with over 1 million passengers. They deserve the very best equipment that we can give them. This major infrastructure project is not just important, it's urgent. Every day our technicians work on 74,000 pieces of equipment. That's 74,000 pieces of equipment that
You're listening to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and a former, right now, Frank McIntosh, an aviation official and a former air traffic controller. Duffy and others have just toured an air traffic tower, control tower in San Diego, and holding a news conference talking about the improvements that are needed to improve air safety.
And support from our labor unions, from the air traffic controllers and the technicians and people in industry. Our stakeholders all are behind this new infrastructure bill that Secretary Duffy is not just advocating, but is 100% enthusiastic about getting this for the controllers in that building as well as the rest of the country. This is a critical need for us. The challenges facing our nation's air traffic control system didn't just arise overnight, but they're here today. They're here in this fine facility at Core 30 Airport of San Diego, where we stopped providing support to some of the most important technology we have in there where it's in need of a definite enhancement, such as our STAR system. Our STAR system that provides an important connection from the TRACON to the tower hasn't seen a major enhancement since January of 2021. Last month, Secretary Duffy launched a comprehensive plan to replace our aging air traffic control system. This plan calls for upgrading our radar, our hardware, our telecommunications, and replacing them with cutting-edge fiber technology. San Diego and every facility in the NAS will greatly benefit from this technology. But more importantly, the American people will. While air travel remains the safest mode of transportation, we will face increasing delays if our equipment infrastructure is not replaced immediately. And we have a great opportunity under Secretary Duffy's leadership to get this fixed and make sure that the FAA remains the gold standard of air navigation service providers. Secretary Duffy, thank you for the opportunity to join you on this tour, to hear our technicians and our controllers tell us the challenges they face, and having your support as the Secretary. Thank you again, sir.
We're going to take your questions in a second, but maybe I can put it into context, too, for the media. I've been in a number of different TV studios around the country, and you guys have some pretty remarkable equipment that all of you use in local television and national television as well. But oftentimes along the walls at your studios, you have pictures of people who used to work in the building, but also the equipment that you used to use in the building 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And the pictures that you have in your studios from 40 years ago, and how old and comical those pictures might look on the equipment that was used in your studios, that's actually the same equipment that they're using today to keep our skies safe. So to put it into context, again, the upgrades that you see every 5 years, 10 years in studios around America, that hasn't happened for decades up here. And that's unacceptable for the U.S. government. And with that, we're happy to take any questions you may have for us. Yeah.
Secretary Duffy, a new NTSB report came out. We had plane crash here not too long ago with military housing. Lights were out of service at Montgomery Bridge since 2022. What's the federal government doing to ensure airport projects?
So it's a good point. And as part of the full view of our airspace, it also includes money to make sure that we have state-of-the-art technology and up-to-date technology at our airports across the country.
Why were they still inoperable 3 years later?
It's a good question. And why that wasn't taken care of, I don't know. I will tell you this. Those reports take 2 years. Those lights, the NTSB didn't say was the cause of the crash. Don't even know that they said it was a contributing factor. We're going to get more information on that crash in the coming months and years. But again, we want everyone to, when they fly, get to where they're going without incident and without harm. So what you'll see in San Diego is the investment in the telecommunication, the upgrade from copper to fiber. What you'll see is new radar. And you will get new radios here, and you will get new voice switches. That's part of the $12.5 billion. That's going to happen around the country. And then we need additional money to actually fix the older equipment that you'll see up in the tower. And that's why the Senate's considering giving more money to this effort, and I hope they do, because again, this is a brand new, state-of-the-art system, and it's going to take 3 to 4 years, but we have to get started now, and that's why we need as much money as possible to make this happen. And this, by the way, just real quick, the Senate and the House, the Congress has given tranches of money.
You were watching Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy talk about the state of the nation's air traffic control systems and the need for improvements. On your right, we are watching a homecoming celebration for the last living American hostage, Idan Alexander. He was released back on May 12th, and he has been receiving care up until this point, and so now he is finally making his way home. He was just 19 years old when Hamas stormed an Israeli military base where the American Israeli was a soldier, and he was dragged into the Gaza Strip. He is again believed to be the last living American hostage in Gaza. Hamas releasing him, saying that it was a goodwill gesture. Alexander was among 251 people, I misspoke earlier, who were taken hostage in that October 7th attack, which ignited the Israel-Hamas war. So we are waiting for that homecoming, but we are also monitoring a very important discussion that's happening about the need for investment in America's air traffic control system.
In Newark, we had a line that went down. You guys probably reported on that story because there was an outage twice for 30 seconds each, which by the way is frightening. Now we have redundancies in place, and everyone kicks into action and feel very safe that we keep planes in the air. But you do not want to see your telecom go down for 30 seconds or your radar go out for 90 seconds, which is what happened. It was in 3 weeks. We worked with Verizon. In 3 weeks, they laid a new fiber line from the Philly Tracon up to Newark at N90. This has never happened for the FAA. We are getting CEO engagement. Everyone who's participating in what we're doing now is at the CEO level because they understand how important this is to America. They all fly. Their families fly. Their friends fly. And so the engagement that's happening now is way different. And I can't give you the exact time, but I believe that we can do this in the whole thing in 3 to 4 years. So this is not months. It's going to take years, but this can't take a decade. This can't take 6 years. We have to start to move now and move fast. Yes. So the question here is on our air traffic controllers, and it allows us to go up to 2,500 academy grads at Oklahoma City, which is where our academy is at. The problem is multi-layered, right? We have to get the best students into the academy, and there's been some roadblocks that we've had to work through, which we have to improve the pipeline of young people going to the academy. We're taking the best and brightest, the ones who score the best on the entrance exam. We give them bonuses when they graduate. And if they go to a more difficult to staff facility, we give them a $10,000 bonus. So yeah, that is incredibly helpful. There's other problems than money when it comes to air traffic controllers. What I've done as well is, because our controllers, it's a stressful job, they can retire after 25 years of service. I've offered them a 20% upfront cash bonus to stay on and work, and they'll get that every year that they stay on. And so these are the best controllers that you have, the most experienced controllers. And so how do we incentivize them to stay and help us in this time of need? And you got to pay. And so we're doing that. And we're starting to see some of the results. I don't have all the data for you. We just rolled out that program. But I'm pulling every lever I can to get as many controllers to stay and into the pipeline and certified to make sure we don't have that shortage. The whole, do you have you don't have the cost on the full upgrade? No. So I guess the full cost for this, again, we have national airspace. We have our numbers of what it's going to cost to do the whole system, right? What do we need for towers? What do we need for TRACONs? What do we need for en route centers?
You're listening to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy speaking about the improvements that have been made at the San Diego airports, the air traffic control system, one that he says should be a model for the rest of the country, and urging Congress to invest in the air traffic control system. This renewed focus follows a number of incidents, the latest happening in New Jersey, several days of glitches, systems failures at the New Jersey, Newark airports, prompting concern. And of course, that was the earlier this year, the helicopter, Black Hawk helicopter and commercial flights crash that claimed the lives of several people. And so that brought to light many outdated systems, the working conditions for many air traffic controllers. You heard the Secretary speaking about the need to incentivize people to want to be controllers, increasing their pay, giving them bonuses, and working through those sort of reforms. We're going to take a break. You're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
What a wonderful afternoon. moods are bright. It's Thursday, it's Juneteenth Day, and it also is the first day of Summerfest 2025. Our Bill Miston is down there. It's also Stomp Out Hunger Day. Bill, you've got some interviews lined up. Tell me what's going on.
Well, yeah, Kim, back on the Summerfest grounds, slathered up in sunscreen, listen to some live music here at the U.S. Cellular stage, and I'm in the us mode kind of space. I'm with Tamara Tomczyk. She's the brand and engagement manager for U.S. Cellular. Take us through what this area is, Tamara.
Yeah, so this is a space where we just invite people to come in, put their phone away, and enjoy the people around us. We have some really fun activities. You can relax in the shade a little bit. You can play our games and win some prizes. It's a great space to really connect with the people you're here with.
Yeah, and so there's these fun chairs. You see these little guys rolling around in them. There's a dog in here, so it's getting crazy. Some games here that you can play, and some of the games that you can play, you can actually win access to a VIP area behind the U.S. Cellular stage during Summerfest. So we'll tease, we're going to talk about that, and we'll show you that coming up here in a little bit.
Bill, what's this game, and what do you get?
Well, here, let's do some real-time investigating. Looks like you're having to hit some buttons. There's some buttons that have to be hit in some sort of sequence. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't been watching all that long.
It looks
and then there's
fun.
A final score.
Yeah.
There's a final score. 30 to 44 points gets you a keychain. 45 to 59 points gets you a bandana or a wristband. But if you get 60 or more points, you get a bucket hat. And then you can enter a chance to win access to that VIP area where we're going to show you here in a little bit.
All right, Bill Miston, thanks. And I like that it's shade. There's a little bit of shade there, and there's also a lemonade stand.
There is a little bit of shade. Yeah, there's a little bit of shade, and then I just stepped out of it.
Okay.
So that's what we got going on here. There is lemonade, there's corn, there's beer. The beer looks really good, let me tell you.
Okay.
Looks really good. And Tamara is talking about, hanging up and hanging out, not being on your phone a whole lot. I think that's a really good thing, Don't you, Kim?
I absolutely agree. So enjoy the summer. Don't document it, live it. Bill Miston, thank you so much for checking in again.
Absolutely. We'll see you in a little bit.
All right, see you. And yeah, you need a hat or something. You're getting a little sunburned. And I say that out of concern. He's like, how about you come out here? It's kind of hot. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We have been checking out the U.S. Cell Connection stage. That is where we're going to be hanging out a lot during Summerfest. We've got some what we call meet and greets. So I'll be out there Saturday between 2 and 4. Ben Handelman will be with me also 2 to 4, and some other FOX6ers. So be sure to stop by, grab a little shade, maybe disconnect a little bit as you play those games, and win some sweet prizes. So that is what's happening on this first day of Summerfest. Maybe it's been a little bit since you've been down to Summerfest. Here's how you get down there, okay? Park and ride lots, that's the veteran move. You park your car there, you don't worry about it, it's absolutely free. Those park and ride lots are open from 10:30 in the morning, Thursdays to 1 p.m. on Sundays, each weekend of the fest. You grab that and you take a freeway flyer or the shuttle down to Summerfest, and it stops right there at the mid-gate. So it's almost door-to-door service. So you can't beat that. So check that out. That's really advisable. And also, if you're headed down there, you may be tempted to, stock a big bag or a backpack with, cold things to drink because it's a scorcher out there right now. Don't. You are still prohibited from bringing in those big bags into Henry Meyer Festival Park. There's the bag policy, so they will turn you around and make you take that bag back to your car if you drove down there, or ditch it or find something to do with it, but it's not coming through those gates. So look at those different images. Your best bet is that small clutch where it's big enough for a phone, a pair of keys, your best lip gloss, and that's about it. Oh, and your debit card or credit card, because of course, a reminder that Summerfest is cashless. So that means no cash will be accepted. So you forgot about that, and that's all you have on you, not to worry. There are cash to card services. There are some points throughout the grounds, the North Gate, the Mid Gate, the box office. You can take that $20 bill and transfer that into a card that you can use on the grounds. We've also been following a homecoming that is about to happen in New Jersey. Idon Alexander, the last American hostage to be freed. He was freed back May 12th, but he's now finally making his way back to the United States. He is in the United States, and he's making it to his home. We've been listening to the reporter who's also waiting for that homecoming. And so let's take a listen to a little bit of the excitement that is happening. He was 19 years old, Idon was, when he was dragged from his military base on October 7th. And there's so much emotion. His family desperately for more than 500 days, hoping, praying for his release. In March, there was a glimmer of hope that he would be released. Hamas, in an effort to broker a ceasefire, said that they would release Alexander along with the bodies of 4 hostages. And then there was activity, an Israeli strike, and that then shattered the very delicate ceasefire talks. And that's family, once again, heartbroken, hoping that their son would hold on until he could be released. His family urging the Israeli government to continue their efforts, not only to free Idon Alexander, but also the other hostages or the remains of those hostages. So much has transpired in those 585 days. 58 remaining hostages, still there, their remains there. Some may still be alive, just families in anguish, not really knowing what to make of what's happening, hopeful that a ceasefire would maintain, hopeful that they would see their loved one alive. Alexander was a male soldier. He was taken to Gaza, and he was not included in many of the hostages that were released in the ceasefire talks earlier in the year. Hamas released 25 Israeli hostages and the bodies of 8 others in January and February in return for nearly 1,800 Palestinian prisoners. And so each time there was a hostage exchange or release, that family, their hearts hopeful and then broken over and over again. And today, that all ends. The family was reunited with Alexander back on May 12th. They did fly overseas to meet with him, to be reunited with him. But now he's finally making his way home to his community, and his community is there. We're going to take a break. You're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk for this Thursday afternoon. It feels like a holiday, and it really is here in Wisconsin. It's the first day of Summerfest, but let me remind you of just how warm it is out there if you are headed to the Summerfest grounds. We're still looking at 83. That is steamy out there. So yes, typically it is cooler near the lake, but it's not all that cool. So dress light, light colors, light layers if you are headed down to the Summerfest grounds, and make sure that you do stay hydrated. And with that, we go to Bill Miston, who has so kindly been joining us this afternoon at the Summerfest grounds. Bill, where are you now? You've been moving around. You're at the U.S. Cell Connection stage. What's cracking?
Well, you know, trying to stay hydrated there, Kim. It is a beautiful day. It is warm. If you're coming out, definitely, like you said, some light-colored clothing. We do have a nice breeze depending upon where you're at as you're going around the grounds, checking out the bands. It's warm out here, so stay hydrated. But also, it's definitely a place to hear a lot of music and see a lot of things that you can do over these next couple of weeks. And one of the things that's happening, I'm backstage at U.S. Cellular stage here, this U.S. Cellular Connection stage, with Tamara Tomczyk, and this is an area where you could potentially win prizes by playing some of the games that U.S. Cellular has outside near the stage to come back here. And you know, there's going to be a bar set up at 4 o'clock, and then you have pit access as well to bands. Take us through how all that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you engage in our Utz Mode Lounge, which is to the left of the stage, you could potentially win wristbands that will give you VIP access to the backstage loft as well as the pit. Starting at 4 o'clock every day, you can have that access and then have that front row seating.
And I mean, this is just a really nice space. Came back here, there's a nice breeze coming through, you can hear the music, and then there's steps that take you right over there to the pit. Beautiful views of the lake here, of Lakeshore State Park, and you can see the Milwaukee Harbor Lighthouse out there, as well as where their crews are getting set up for the fireworks that are going to be happening later. So definitely a really nice spot to hang out, whether you're here at the VIP area or just on the backside of the cellular stage, U.S. Cellular stage. Beautiful spot to be here for Summerfest.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody here. It's an amazing spot. If you're here just to relax, you can relax up in this area. If you're here to watch the fireworks, it's a great view to watch the fireworks.
Now take us through this partnership, because FOX6 is partnering with U.S. Cellular again this year, all throughout Summerfest, and you know, this is just a great opportunity here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled to be partnering with you guys again this year. Being able to share our story with you guys share your story. It's been really fun to have you guys on as a partner.
We've been hearing a lot of great live music here at the U.S. Cellular Connection stage all day since things kicked off at noon. Bands just switched out here at 2 o'clock, so another one just started their set, and it is rocking here at Summerfest, Kim. Do you have any particular bands that you're hoping to see?
I wish I were off tonight, because I'd like to see Fabulous. He's going to be on the U.S. Cell stage tonight at 10.
I was looking at the schedule, and like Fabulous and then a couple other artists that I don't know how I would be able to get to all of the artists to see them, because they're all kind of playing at the same time tonight.
That is the wonderful thing.
That was like a conundrum when the schedule came out. I was like, I don't know how that's going to be possible.
Yeah. Have you stopped? Have you had a moment to eat anything, or that's later on in your evening?
Absolutely not. No time for eating, Kim. This is all just straight work. Mm-hmm. You know, like Tamara was saying earlier, that space that we were at earlier, it's, you know, about putting your phone away.
Yes.
I think that's something that maybe should be said more often in our office.
Yes.
Where, you know, maybe we're just going to put our phone away for a bit, right? Maybe not listen to all those messages and emails and things that are coming in. So maybe Ted and I are going to go and do that for a bit and kind of go radio silent. I'm sure everyone's going to really enjoy that.
Oh yeah, I'm here for it. I'm going to support it. So I'll let you know.
You support it?
I support it. Yes. So yeah, thanks, Bill. I really do appreciate the time that you've taken for the Wisconsin Live Desk.
All right, we'll see you later. Thanks, Kim.
Okay. Yep. Bye. First day of Summerfest, and you can still get in for free. Bring 3 non-perishable items to the Midgate. Our FOX6ers are there. Stomp Out Hunger is going on to help Feeding America, Eastern Wisconsin, help feed families in our community who things are tight for everyone. And so this is a way to help those who just can't quite make the two ends meet. And we were joined earlier, it was kind of a surprise and a treat on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Milwaukee Bucks star Bobby Portis Jr. was down at the Midgate, joining us there for a little bit, collecting food as well. He has been an ambassador for Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin for several years. The Bobby Portis Jr. Foundation, very active in highlighting food insecurity and also trying to bring funds along with the awareness, collect food to help pantries stay stocked so that they never have to turn anyone away in a time of need. So it was really neat to see Bobby Portis, the citizen, the neighbor there, not as a Milwaukee Buck, but as Bobby Portis, someone who has invested so much in our community. So we are thankful for that. Also, just want to give you a quick little look, if I can, of again, some of the temperatures out there, because it is so steamy. I don't have to tell you that. So if you are headed out, just take it easy out there. Oh yeah, I also want to go back to this poll. How many days are you going to Summerfest? I'm like, it's so steamy. But at the same time, I'm like, it's Summerfest. We only get like 2 weeks of summer. So go wild. How many days are you going to Summerfest? 50% of you so far say you're not going at all. You're not going at all. Even if you can get in for free today, just check it out. 2 to 3 days, some people say, 25% of you, and 25% of you say you're going 1 day. Well, this is just the first weekend. So maybe these numbers are only reflective of how many days this weekend are you going. But I guess you could do 4 to 5 if you're taking in all of the 3 weekends. Anyway, it's early. You may start off thinking that you're not going to go to Summerfest, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, this is summer. It goes by too quickly. Why would I want to miss out on Summerfest? You know, it's a chance just to be out near the lake. So do that. All right. We are going to take a little break. We'll be back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And you are listening to the homecoming of Idan Alexander, the American-Israeli hostage finally returning home 600 days after he was taken captive by Hamas in the October 7th attack. Let's listen.
This was requested to be more subdued because I spoke with Idan's rabbi, and he actually said that he wants a more normal life now. He wants to sort of move on. If we have that soundbite, Martha, I'd love to show you what the rabbi told me earlier. Okay, well, the rabbi just just said, Martha, that he's excited to finally move on after going through such a traumatizing ordeal. But today is about joy. Today's about love. You got it. You got it.
You're seeing what happens behind the scenes, but this is in New Jersey, an emotional homecoming. You heard that Idon Alexander, now 21 years old, is returning to New Jersey after being held hostage more than 500 days, 584 days, I believe, by Hamas. Just unimaginable, the horrors that he has been through, and the ups and the downs that his family has been through working with the administration. Hamas killed some 1,200 Israelis October 7th, 2023 in that early morning attack. And that, of course, started the war and Hamas took more than 250 hostages, around 250 hostages. We know that in this war, there have been at least 48,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli-Hamas war. So it has been a toll on the region, many families, but this is something that is a long time coming, and people wanted to be there. Alexander's family communicating that Idon wanted to just kind of come home and return to normal life, didn't want this big homecoming, but how could you not after the ordeal that he has been through? He graduated, grew up in New Jersey, graduated from high school, and from there moved to Israel and voluntarily joined the military. And it was as a part of the military that he was taken hostage on October 7th in 2023. Let's listen to some of the people who are gathered there.
So special, we wanted to welcome him and just show him that we supported him, that even all those days that he was in captivity, we were behind him.
Do you know Idon's family?
I do not know.
You do not?
But I've seen them speak at various occasions, and on the anniversary of October 7th, there was a big event here where we saw them speak, and I spoke to them afterwards. We just gave them our best support.
Just talk about the impact that what his family has been going through has had on this entire community.
It's just, it brings everything home. I mean, a lot of people here have children. I have a son in the family in Israel, and a lot of people here are connected, have children in Israel, have grandchildren in Israel. So this is all very close to us. My son was in the reserves, was in Gaza.
You're listening to just one of the many people who are gathered in New Jersey to welcome home Idon Alexander. He is now 21, 19 when he was taken by Hamas into Gaza. He is now 21 years old. He is finally home after being released back in May on May 12th. It's just been a journey for his family and for the country, and we thank you for joining us.
Reporting there on the ground. I'll show you more of the roving camera we have now is people that have been lined up in the community on the streets, just catching a glimpse of the motorcade of Idon Alexander passing through. And what a moment this is for this community coming together, really